Hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining my live stream. Today we're going to cover a very important subject. So there's a lot ahead of us. The drama is not ending. Let's start by Monday. So Monday it was all fun. It was all green. They said there's a proposal for a ceasefire. We saw that we were um kind of you can say kind of positive that something will happen. Stocks went up, as you can see here. Here, for example, oh, where's Monday? So here, this is Monday. You can see we went from to 23,000 to 24,400 for the Nasdaq, and same thing happened to all the major stocks. Everything went up, but then yesterday something dramatic again happened. The stock just randomly fell because there was no ceasefire, no postpone of the war. So it just kept on going like that. And as you can see here, well, we should expect better opportunities today because if you go to the US, crude oil, well, you can see they fell to a great level, something that we didn't see since the war started. Oh no, I think we already saw it. So something, a level that we didn't see since. We could say if you don't count what happened on these days, on Monday, a level we didn't see since last December. Oh, 2 Wednesdays ago, okay? So the market fell by 1% again, and there's a US diplomatic push. Let's analyze the stock market today. So before Iran actually rejected the ceasefire, but let's go to see what actually happened before. How did we get to Iran? How did we get to Iran? Actually, rejected the ceasefire. Well, first of all, okay, let's type in Trump ceasefire plan. Okay, so Trump admin pitches 15-point Iran peace proposal as Pakistan offers to hold talks. President Donald J. Trump administration presented Iran with a 15-point peace proposal late Tuesday as diplomatic efforts to end the war with Tehran kicked off. The US presented the agreement through Pakistani officials have offered to serve as intermediaries to help end the conflict. Iran state media continues to deny the high-level talks are taking place. The proposal comes after the Trump administration prepared to deploy 2 marine units that will add about 500 Marines and thousands of sailors to the region. The moves have been framed as Trump maneuvering to give himself max flexibility on what he will do next. Israel's ambassador to the UN, Danny Dayton, sounded sirens to members of UN Security Council on Tuesday and activated a 15-second timer to illustrate the reality in which Israeli citizens live under rocket fire. Immediately afterwards, Ambassador Dayton said, "When you hear this siren, you have 15 seconds to seek shelter, to decide which child to take first, whether to return for the others, and sometimes even that is not enough to reach a safe place." So, what is the plan, okay? So, show us the plan first, okay? Let's look for. So, the Trump administration offered 15 ceasefire plan to Iran. And US military prepared to send at least 1,000 more troops to supplement some 50,000 troops already in the Mideast. The plan was submitted to Iran by intermediaries from Pakistan have offered to host renewed negotiation between Washington and Tehran, according to the person who spoke on condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak publicly. The New York Times was the first to report that the plan has been delivered to Iranian officials, but we just saw here that they have rejected. So let's see how this is going to influence the stock market. First of all, U.S. stock index futures were higher on Wednesday on hopes of a potential end to the Iranian war. Markets have swung from gains to losses this week as investors have traded conflicting reports coming out of the Middle East. The Dow Jones futures were up 1%, S&P climbed 0.9%, and Nasdaq rose 1.1%. Markets continue to gyrate around the latest Iran headlines, which softened earlier yesterday amid doubts on the status of any negotiations between the US and Iran, giving way more to optimism late in the US session. So, I have two questions from Jimmy and Soki. Is the Iran situation actually driving the market right now? How serious is the Hormuz situation for global markets? Okay, I'm going to answer that later, but first of all, let's see what's going to happen. If oil keeps rising, does that kill rate cuts? Okay, we're gonna check everything, okay? Thank you for your comment once again. So this is Ethereum exactly. I'm telling you, the stocks will go up for some time and then we'll see the stocks going down again, okay? So we entered the market yesterday at this level and we're opening slightly more above, okay? So everything is green and the crude oil is going down until the market decides that Iran has rejected the ceasefire, okay? So, first of all, we have oil prices sliding amid hopes for Iran war resolution. Oil prices fell on Wednesday, with Brent crude oscillating around 100 a barrel, as Middle East strikes continue despite talks of de-escalation in the almost month-old conflict between joint US-Israeli forces and Iran. Brent oil futures expired in May fell 3.9% to 100, while WTI crude futures declined 4% to 88.70 per barrel. So, the decline followed reports that the US had sent Iran a 15-point plan aimed at ending the war in the region, raising hopes for a ceasefire and reduced risks to key oil shipping routes, including the Strait of Hormuz. US President said Washington was in negotiation with right now with Iran, added that Tehran was talking sense and appeared eager to strike a peace deal. However, Iran has said that true talks are not viable in current conditions. Also, what we see here, state media said that Iran is not accepting any ceasefire plan, okay? Good morning, Sifat. How are you doing? Thank you so much for your comment. How are you doing, Nadir? So, as you can see here, President Donald J. Trump said Washington is engaged in discussions with Iran over a possible ceasefire. But Tehran just officially rejected. Is this risk off or just a pullback? Well, in today's market conditions, even if you see all this green color, I am telling you, this is temporary. As long as we don't see oil back to these levels, okay? Back here, at least, not you. Let me change it to this one. So if you don't see oil back to these levels, don't think something is actually going to happen, okay? If you don't see oil below these levels, we are still just providing some gain for the stock market. So yes, all the major US stocks are going up, but still, that doesn't mean the market is actually fixing itself. This could be just another trap for all the people that got trapped yesterday, okay? So crude oil futures dropped more than 6% per barrel on Wednesday as U.S. diplomatic efforts to end the war with Iran gained traction, overshadowing reports of additional troop deployments and the near closure of the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. reportedly drafted a 15-point plan to Iran, okay? So, via Pakistan to help resolve the conflict, while around 2,000 soldiers were deployed to the region to support security at the vital waterway. Iran signaled little willingness to compromise, firing missiles at Israel, and rolling out ceasefire talks, while allowing some foreign ships to transit the strait under restriction. So Chevron warning of a potential California fuel crisis, hundreds of fuel shortages reported in Australia, the Philippines declaring a national energy emergency, and Asian nations reportedly holding jet fuel. What actually changed overnight? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Leon, how are you doing, my dear? So, what changed is that yesterday we had no plan, okay? But right now, we have a plan that will not make sense in the bid, which is um saying that we have ceasefire while we don't have it. So we can say, oh yeah, ceasefire is coming. But Tehran officially denied and rejected the plan, okay? So mediators said there's no ceasefire happening and it just rejected it. It calls talks illogical. So Iran has rejected the US ceasefire proposal, stating that truce and talks are not viable under current conditions, according to Fars news agency citing, okay, Iran does not accept a ceasefire and considers US talks illogical. The source on Fars. The rejection comes despite what Iran describes as stepped up US efforts to secure a ceasefire. Juan Brady, well, earnings are not the important thing right now because there's no way you can make them happen. Even though I see all these green colors here, I'm still pessimistic. Why? Simply because um oil is still not down to the levels we need it to be. Good morning. And also because we don't really have a ceasefire plan until we see Washington and Tehran together signing an accord in whatever country it is, then I can say, oh yes, this is finally some good outcome for the market. Also, we have some economic calendar today. Let's see what's coming. We have crude oil inventories coming in for 54 minutes, okay? So as I said, the market is still pessimistic. Don't think that this is a good sign for the market because in today's market conditions, we are still facing a big problem. So I'm telling you guys, don't try to invest. Don't just go in because the situation is actually very bad, okay? What's the one signal that matters most right now is to stay out of risk because today's market conditions are so risky. Everything is basically risky to trade in from S&P, Nasdaq, DGI, Apple. So we can say Tesla is the only one that's giving good signs. Their fat is growing. So let's see what Musk actually unveiled. with his Telefab plan. Well, he unveils 5 trillion to 13 trillion US dollars Telefab shift plan, okay? So a potential aggressive expansion into semiconductor manufacturing, outlining plans that could position Tesla closer to building large-scale chip production capacity. Speaking in Austin, Musk described the Terafab concept as an effort to materially expand computing supply for AI, robotics, and space applications. Areas he indicated may require far more silicon than it is currently available. Estimate refers by analysis suggests the project could involve 5 trillion to 13 trillion in capital spending, supporting hundreds of fabrication plants and targeting up to 1 terawatt of annual compute capacity, a scale that may rival or exceed today's global semiconductor footprint. The backdrop to Musk's proposal reflects intensifying demand across the AI ecosystem. So, Amazon Alphabet Microsoft are expected to allocate roughly 650 billion this year towards data center infrastructure. That capital spending is already contributing to tighter supply and memory and beginning to extend into AI accelerators, reinforcing concerns that chip production may not be keeping pace with projected demand, but indicated he has encouraged suppliers, including TSM, SSNLF, and my microenergy technology to expand capacity more rapidly, even suggesting he would absorb all available output, while leaving foundries continue to emphasize a disciplined approach to scaling production. So, Tesla is doing pretty well because of their new plan. So, we have closed Monday on 367. If we compare it to the weekly chart so you can analyze it, so you can see how we grew on a week from this level up to here, and that's a good sign. So it's still a good week for Nasdaq, S&P 500, and DGI. Also for other stocks, they kind of recovering after yesterday's loss, but Microsoft is still down. But I'm telling you, we are still on a phase where we're not sure what's going to happen. So it's a good sign that oil levels have been reduced from 100 to 87. That's still a good thing. Oil went down, they went up. Gold, sorry. So what about Bitcoin? It still went up. So I am telling you, don't just go and buy whatever you see, okay? So that's a very, very bad move. So if you're just going and buying whatever you can see in front of you, you're just risking your money. That's a very, very bad thing to happen. So this is a result of hoping for a ceasefire. That's not really a ceasefire happening yet. What just happened, it's going to come. But it's still not here. So why are we rushing the move out already? So US stocks opened higher on Wednesday on hopes of a potential end to the Iran war. Markets, oh come on. Markets have swung from gains to losses this week as investors have traded conflicting reports coming out of the Middle East. The benchmark S&P 500 index jumped 1.1% to 6,600. So all of them, blah, blah, blah. Markets continue to gyrate around the latest Iran headlines. Oh, this one is important. The main averages on Wall Street all slipped in the prior session, with investors attempting to gauge the likelihood of a halt to hostilities between joint US-Israeli forces and Iran. Fighting has continued unabated, while the US has begun to send more military units to the Middle East. And some Washington allies in the Persian Gulf have reportedly been urging President Trump to keep prosecuting the war. Tuesday trading was marked by volatility as controversial reports made market participants on edge. Though Trump said the negotiations with Iran were ongoing and productive, but Tehran keeps denying any single talk with Iran, with Washington. Iran even accused the president of using the prospect of peace talks to soothe volatile financial markets. So if I really agree on a peace deal, I'm not going to do that. We're not going to rage bait my my enemy, although we're trying to reach a ceasefire. So that's what I'm telling you. We are not on very, very great conditions right now. So can you consider the ceasefire a good point for markets to recover? Well, the problem is we didn't even see a ceasefire yet because we're still hoping for one, and it's still not happening. Markets now are just raising because they hope that it's going to end. While it's not going to end, that's the biggest problem. Oh, so that's extreme capitalism. US President Donald J. Trump plans to appoint Meta Platform CEO Mark Zuckerberg, Oracle, Larry Ellison, and Jensen Huang, a Vida CEO, to counsel the ways in on AI policy and other issues. The White House named an initial batch of 30 members from the industry, also including Sergey Brin and AMD CEO Lisa Su. Alphabet, Nvidia, and Oracle did not immediately respond to users' requests for comments. So it would include 24 people. So that's I mean it should be great for the market. Okay, so let's check our fundraise. That's a new stock I've seen these days. Wow. So we have gained 48%, 58%. Oh my god. In the last hour, 58 plus 183. What happened to this stock? So this is fundraise, and you can see just how it went up out of nothing. Whoa. Already too late. If we took that one, it would have been a great position for us. Okay, so Wall Street Journal. So, emissions are aiming for negotiations between US and Iranian officials, but both sides have incompatible demands. The US sent a 15-point plan to end the war, which centers largely. Oh, okay, so basically the war cannot be ended. Dow Jones, Dow jumps are open, oil falls unconscious optimism. So we should be too optimism because I'm telling you guys, this is a temporary thing, okay? We are still not sure if the markets will keep going up or go down, okay? Oh, what happened to Nasdaq? How did we go from this level? So other stocks are now going down. Why? Because simply as I said, oh, so Nvidia rose this day. Then now it's going down. As I'm telling you, there's no plan to end this war. Literally, oil had been going up since 2 hours ago, okay? So oil has been going up, and all the other stocks are now going down slowly. So all the major stocks are now going down because, as I told you, there's no such thing called a ceasefire. There's only war happening. So I'm telling you guys, don't go and invest in the stock right now because we don't see any ceasefire happening yet. And that's why please stay cautious. Don't just go and take whatever positions that seems good for you because as long as there's no official ceasefire, there's no official end to this war. Why isn't gold moving more? I explained this in my live stream, my first video. If you watched it, please go. You will get so much valuation and data from it because I explained exactly what happened. Why gold is not moving. Well, if you know, gold is something that doesn't really move out of nothing. Gold is still moving um with specific details. So here you can see it went down yesterday, then went up again. So Microsoft is still okay, Leon. Microsoft is going down today, okay? So it's on another level. I don't know exactly what's happening, but the market is just sending us mixed signals these days, and there's no stock you can go just invest in, except for micro. How is TSMC doing? Okay, that's the only performing one, I guess. But other stocks though are falling in the past 5 minutes. See, everything just went up, then went down again. Today's market conditions are very weak and really bad, so don't just go and trade. So IO is now back on track. We have been gaining momentum since um 30 minutes ago. So the market has been going up 30 minutes now, and there's no clear signal that there's something that's going to change it, okay? There's scenarios you get into uh West West Texas Intermediate, but let's check on Brent. There is not a single buy in today's market. Do you understand, please? Don't buy. Don't just go and be trapped. Because if you take a position now, you have no clear signal where the market is going. You have mixed signals. You have a market that's not into any position. Yes, it just went up because we had a hope for a ceasefire. But there's no ceasefire coming. So that's why I'm telling you, there's no way you can go into the market now. Please don't buy. Just watch, analyze, and see what's going to happen next. If you see any great move, please do analyze many times and don't just go and enter out of nowhere. So, as I said, there's no news into this except that we have a potential ceasefire that was rejected. So the ceasefire is rejected, and that means there's no way we can end the war. Witkoff and Kushner, Jared Kushner, have both been working on a ceasefire mechanism, says report stocks jump. So diplomatic efforts are underway to establish a one-month ceasefire mechanism between the US and Iran. Stock rallied in after hours trading following the news. Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are working on a deal structure similar to previous Gaza and Lebanon agreements, Israeli Channel 12 reported. Negotiation on a 15-point plan would take place during the proposed BAF law, a halt in fighting. It includes provisions for granting the IAEA full access to all information and the handover of enriched uranium to the agency. The New York Times reported that the US sent Iran a 15-point plan to end the war in the Middle East. The plan was delivered to Pakistan, whose army chief has become a key intermediary between the two countries. Officials said the plan addresses Iran's ballistic missile and nuclear program, according to two officials briefed on the diplomacy who spoke to the Times. It also discusses maritime routes, one official said. Pakistan's army chief field has emerged as a primary interlocutor between the US, Iran, with Egypt and Turkey encouraging Iran to engage constructively. Officials added that it is believed to maintain close ties to Iran's Islamic Revolution Guard Corps. So it remains unclear how widely the plan has been shared among Iranian officials, or whether Iran will accept it as a basis for negotiation. And it is not accepted. So the Iran state media just denied any accepted and rejected this plan. So Pakistani officials told the outlet the peace is that's happening. And as you can see here, they deny the negotiations are actually happening. No negotiations have been held with the US, and fake news is used to manipulate the financial and oil markets and escape the quagmire in which the US and Israel are trapped. That's why he wrote on social media. Is Meta still strong or just momentum? In today's market conditions, I cannot say if anything is strong or if anything is momentum, because in today's market conditions geopolitics are the new ruler, they are the king. Geopolitics is king. If Iran is not agreeing for a ceasefire or whatever, or for Tesla to go strong, it would never go strong. If they don't agree for momentum, we would never see momentum. So that's why I am telling you, in today's market conditions, there is no way to end the war unless we actually see a ceasefire plan happening and agreement between the two countries. So as of now, there's nothing that's going to happen. So all the major stocks are actually stopped, are actually just keep bouncing back and forward. And as you can see, all the stocks are kind of falling back, and there's no difference to what's going to happen. So as I'm telling you, we can see the market going up for a while. Other people will be, oh, finally the markets are going up. Let me buy it. That was going to happen next. The market will just go down, and then that's when you realize you actually lost money. So I am telling you, The Iran stance is not random. They rejected, they rejected because they don't trust temporary ceasefires. They want a permanent shift, not a short-term deal. There is an oil plus Hormuz as leverage. The translation for markets is this is not a quick conflict, it's structural. So, what would be the reaction? Stocks will go up, oil will drop for a bit, the bonds will come down. So, if you check the bonds, for example, let's go to bonds, let's go to 10 years one. 4 point. So they're just coming right now. There's no difference. So all are sitting in the same level, kinda, okay? So as I said, they're all remaining calm right now. And the traders will price it as war is ending soon, finally. Then the reality hits. Iran actually rejected the ceasefire. All will rebound, and stock gains will be trimmed. And traders will realize nothing actually changed. So what is the real driver? It's oil. Everything goes back to one thing, the Strait of Hormuz. 20% of global oil supply. Any disruption equals inflation shock. Prolonged conflict equals energy crisis 2.0. And in the worst case, oil will go to $150 and would see a recession risk. So, how is this influencing the market? First of all, for oil, you can see it for short term, it should be volatile, medium term, upward pressure, and the scenario it should be a supply shock, then a spike. For gold, it's mixed. Up on uncertainty, down on fake peace appears, and it's still supported by geopolitics. So for stocks, they're very fragile. We can see a very fragile rally. Markets are pricing peace but hinging the war, and this creates choppy fake moves. For bonds and rates, inflation risk equals rates staying higher longer, and central banks can't ease easily. So right now, markets are doing this. We'll believe in a ceasefire until proven otherwise. But reality is, the war is being priced like it's ending, while signals say it's not. That gap equals opportunity and risk. So, what would actually happen? We have three scenarios. First one is the real ceasefire. Oil crashing, stocks rally hard, and gold dropping. Scenario 2, headline-driven volatility. Oil stays elevated and markets chop sideways. And for Hormuz, it should be fully disrupted, oil spiking up to $120 and stocks dropping sharply. Then the recession fears surge. So the market is trading headlines, not reality. Every time a ceasefire is mentioned, risk assess pump. But every time Iran rejects it, we're reminded this isn't a short war, and as long as oil stays in play, the downside risk is still there. So, for now on, Max 7 trade overcrowded. So, many traders would feel happy that the war is actually ended. But when you actually go and check, there's no ceasefire happening. It got rejected. So what's happening next? Well, the oil is just going to go up again, and the stocks will lately become lose some value. Palantir. Okay, let's talk about Palantir. Sorry. So is Palantir a good, oh, still early or over extended? Well, in my opinion, Palantir is actually already sold off. It is not early anymore. It's a high quality story, but price like perfection. So why did Palantir start? It started as a massive AI hype winner. So if you go back to 2020, let's about the 5 minutes. So it got up 2000% since 2022. And it's still going fast though, 70% year over year revenue recently. And it has big tailwinds from defense plus AI plus geopolitics. But the forward P/E is more than 110% plus. Brand sales are 80 and some models say 30%, 30 to 40% is overvalued. So this is not a cheap growth, this is a price for dominance. AI adoption is real, but there's no hype for it. The government contracts are supporting because more war means more demand, and it's a sticky product. Once clients use it, they don't leave. So the valuation stays high because growth justifies it later. And valuation is extreme versus software peers. Market is already priced in years of growth, so any slowdown equals sharp drop. If growth goes from 70 to 30%, stock doesn't slow, it just reprices hard. So, Palantir is early in the AI cycle, but late in the stock move. And that's the key difference most people miss. And this is where it gets interesting. More conflict means more defense spending, and Palantir equals direct beneficiary because it has AI plus military tech. And recent Pentagon moves confirm this trend. So, unlike most tech stocks, war actually supports Palantir's narrative. So, if you're asking is it early, well, it's not. And if it's overextended evaluation, yes, but not necessarily on narrative. So this is not a buy and chill stock anymore. It's momentum driven, news driven, and narrative driven also. So it's not early, but it's a conviction trade. You're not buying cheap growth, you're buying the belief that it becomes the backbone of AI plus defense. And that's a great move in today's market condition. Next question, is MSTR just a BTC proxy? Yes, it is basically a leveraged Bitcoin proxy, but not a pure one. Originally, MSTR was a software company, but now it's a Bitcoin holding vehicle led by Michael Saylor. It holds massive amounts of Bitcoin on its balance sheet, so when you buy MSTR, you're mostly buying BTC exposure through a stock. So, why does it behave like a leveraged BTC? MSCI tends to go up more than BTC when BTC pumps, more harder when BTC falls. Why? Because they borrowed money to buy Bitcoin and that amplifies gains and losses. Investors price in future BTC buys, seller strategy, and optionality. So MSCR often trades at a premium to its BTC holdings. Some investors can't buy BTC directly, so they just buy MSCR instead. So MSCR can never fall when Bitcoin doesn't, because it has premium compressors, investors rotate out, and equity markets weaken. So it's not a perfect tracker. It's a leverage sentiment driven wrapper around Bitcoin, but not a substitute. So why does the hold it up better than others? Okay, let's check it out. So the question is why is Tesla holding up better than others? I can answer by simply saying as we checked before, This has been gaining for the past days. And why is that? Let's check it out. As I said before, we have the terafab agreement. It's because on the surface it shouldn't be holding up this well in this environment. So, as I said before, terafab is a new microchip investment uh, planned by Elon Musk. They spent more than 13 or I don't actually remember yet. Don't remember how much they exactly spent. Oh, 5 to 13 trillion US dollars on this investment, okay? So this is driving the market up and it's actually great for them, okay? So the headquarters of the Ring of Profits consider the US is negotiating with itself regarding the ongoing investigations. The Wall Street Journal had quoted American officials that Washington had submitted to Iran through mediators a 15-article plan aimed at ending the war based in essence on demands already made by the administration of the US president. The document includes Tehran's demand to dismantle its three key nuclear sites, halt any fertilization activity within Iranian territory, and suspend the ballistic missile program, limit support to regional agents, as well as fully reopen the Strait of Hormuz. So, in return, the US is proposing lifting sanctions related to Iran's nuclear program and providing support for Iran's civil nuclear program. Officials said the plan is very similar to the American proposal that was put forward before the war broke out on February 28, when Trump accused Iran of fraud negotiating seriously, and later on he went to hit Iran. Well, there's no point in holding any stock for the moment because, as you can see here, all the stocks are going down. Keep holding, but don't buy. You have to have your clear points. So, for example, for me, I'm selling my Tesla stock if this zone breaks out. So, if it breaks down this level, I'm selling. But for now, I'm still good. Like if you see it going down, try to buy more. That could be a good signal. But now it's not a good thing to buy. If you bought Tesla here, that was a good sign for you. But it's already gone. Like that position was there, but it's not here anymore. Tesla have gained up to 20% in the past few days. So if you benefited from it, that's great. If you didn't, just wait for another signal in the market. The Mag 7. What is that? So as you can see here, there's now potential end for this war. So that's why I'm telling you, please wait for a better signal. Don't just go and invest in whatever now because the market conditions we have now are not feasible for trading. They're just there to hold and wait for a potential key um key Oh, so this is great news because airlines cancel more flights as Middle East conflict escalates. Global air travel remains severely disrupted, with many people still unable to fly as planned to destinations after the Iran war forced the closure of major Middle Eastern hubs. The law is the latest on flight in alphabetical order, so all the Hong Kong airline has canceled all passenger flights to Dubai and Riyadh until May 31 to cater to a surge in demand to Europe. It will operate 3 additional return flights to Paris and Zurich and provide more additional seats on 13 existing flights to London in April. Emirates UAE Airlines said it was operating a reduced flight schedule following a partial reopening of regional airspace. So, carrier said it would operate a revised limited number of flights until March 28, which is 3 days away. Then we're going to see what's going to happen next. So, the Middle East conflict is just making it worse right now. And we should wait to see exactly what's going to happen next for the European, for the American stock market. If the proposal was ceasefire was simply denied and rejected, then there is no way we're going to agree on something else. And this means please don't just go and enter in any position you see because that's going to be one of the greatest and biggest mistake. So, if you guys have more questions, please do let me know in the comment section. If is there any reason to hold SPY? Well, if you have, then just keep holding, but just don't buy, because in today's market conditions, we have um no way to go up because we are facing a huge problem right now. So we should just wait until we see better conditions in today's market. And as I said, just keep on holding. Don't buy. And if the price suits you to sell, maybe you can sell, but just don't buy at the high because market will just keep on falling more and more right now. So please keep waiting. As you can see here, SPX is still going back to the same level where we started the day. So please keep waiting and don't just go and buy in whatever position. Nvidia keeps on going up and let's see why did it really happen. gold is also going up and all everything is green in the market now. So as I said before, there is no clear signal to buy or to do whatever. Because if you just go and do it, then that's going to be one of the greatest things you will regret later. There's no ceasefire happening, no agreement yet made. So Wall Street advances on Mid-East de-escalation hopes. Wall Street's main indexes rose on Wednesday as prospects of a de-escalation in the Middle East conflict allayed some investor fears around a prolonged energy supply disruptions. Pakistan has delivered a proposal from the US to Iran, and either Iran or Pakistan could be venues for discussions to de-escalate the war in the Gulf. A senior Iranian official told Reuters Tehran has so far denied in public they would negotiate with the Trump administration. It's actually logical because they would not do it. That would make no sense for them to go and agree on any ceasefire for the moment. Um, are we seeing early signs of distribution in big tech? That's a great question from Nali. That's actually a great question. Well, to answer your question, I would say we're seeing some early signals of distribution and rotation out of big tech, but it's actually not confirmed distribution phase yet. It's more like cracks forming under the surface, while the headline index is still look relatively stable. Why? Because what does distribution actually look like? Well, smart money is interest rate, index holding up while internals weakening, and the leadership narrowing, which means breaking. Now compare that to what we're seeing. Over 80% of tech plus growth sectors are already in downtrend, most stocks declining than advancing, and that means there's no distribution behavior. And there's also rotation away from mega caps. Equal weight, S&P 500 outperforming cap-weighted, small, mid caps plus cyclical getting flows, and tech is no longer the only game in town. So this is key. When money stops concentrating in big tech, that's usually either healthy broadening or the first phase of distribution. And as I said, Magnificent 7 is no longer moving together. Some names strong, others are lagging. In bull markets, everything goes up together, but in late cycle, leadership splits, then weakens. So there's massive AI capex, 600 billions raising profitability concerns. Margins likely to face competition pressure, which means the story is still strong, but the valuation versus the reality gap is getting tested, and that's often when distribution starts. So the top 10 stocks in the S&P 500 make 40% already of it, and this matters a lot. If flows reverse even slightly, outsized downside pressure can happen. Also, passive flops can flip from tailwind to headwind. So we're not seeing full distribution yet because big tech is still acting as a safe haven. During geopolitical stress, money flows into mega caps. And that's a distribution that's defensive rotation into quality. S&P is only 5% of highs and there's no panic or forced selling. The potential reacceleration catalyst exists. AI earnings validation and what is really happening? This is the cleanest way to frame it. Phase 1, there was narrow leadership from 2023 to 2025. For the phase 2 was IoT plus cracks, which is now. And the third phase, which is distribution, is still not happening. So, what would actually confirm this distribution? Big tech fails to make new highs with good news, realize getting sold quickly, equal weight keeps outperforming, and the tech stops acting as a safe haven. Plus, earnings disappoint versus expectations. If those line up, there's real distribution. So my take, I would say right now, smart money is reducing the concentration. It's not outright dumping yet. So this is de-risking, not existent. So is narrative more important than fundamentals right now? No. No. I would say no. Nah, that's great to agree. Narrative is driving price, yes, but fundamentals are setting the trap. We're in a market where narrative leads and fundamentals confirm. This is especially true in big tech and AI. The AI story is big in the numbers. Companies like Nvidia, Microsoft, Palantir, whatever, are not being priced on good earnings or good margins. They're being priced on future dominance, AI infrastructure control, and the winner takes most expectations. And that's pure narrative fool. Passive flows keep buying leaders, funds crowd into obvious winners, and retail follows momentum. The result is even small narrative shifts and the big price moves. And geopolitics are simply reinforcing it. With uncertainty like Iran, oil, and rates, money rotates into safe growth like strong balance sheets, and that keeps big tech bid even if fundamentals don't justify current multiples. Then just operate on a delay. Think of it like this. In the phase one, which is early ball, what matters is narrative. Mid cycle, it's larger plus momentum, but late cycle, it's fundamentals that start to matter a lot. And we are moving into that last phase. So, where do fundamentals come back hard? Narrative works until one of these breaks. Earnings don't match expectations if AI spend doesn't translate into profits. Multiples compress fast and leaders drop hard. Also, when margin gets pressured, huge capex. The short-term margin compression and market suddenly cares about. Wait, what is the return? So growth slows even slightly. High multiple stocks in perfection. If growth goes from 40 to 25%, that's enough to trigger distribution. So right now, narrative decides direction, fundamentals decide magnitude of the crash. And what does smart money do? They're not choosing one or the other. They're riding the narrative while quietly watching fundamentals for exit signals. And that's why you're seeing rotation, selective selling, and that's full panic. So instead of asking narrative versus fundamentals, you should ask, is the narrative still getting stronger or starting to crack? Because strong narrative plus okay fundamentals means stocks keep grinding up. One strong narrative plus weakening fundamentals means there's a danger zone. And the broken narrative, it takes us to fundamentals hit all at once. So we're at a point where narrative is still in control, but it's fragile. The market isn't pricing reality yet, but it's very close to carrying again. So this is where it gets interesting. Let's break down the names I mentioned, like Tesla, all the big companies, through the lens that actually matters right now. So Tesla is pure narrative leadership right now because you have AI and visual story more than current car business. The problem is core auto margins are under pressure. Growth is matching the AI multiple it trades at, which means if the AI narrative pauses even slightly, Tesla will drop as fast as it can. And this is classic late cycle narrative stock. For Nvidia, it is the cleanest story in the market. We have real revenue explosion and real demand. But everyone already knows it. Expectations are extreme. The QSK is it doesn't need bad earnings, just cuts insane growth. And still not pure bubble, but starting to transition from narrative to fundamentals test. For Palantir, it is in that dangerous zone. Real business improvement, but price like hyper growth, AI monopoly. And this is what I call almost justified narrative, which is actually risky because it feels safe, but still very dependent on sentiment. So let's be real. Um, for MicroStrategy, this is not a company. It's a leveraged bet on Bitcoin. It moves equals BTC dot leverage dot sentiment. And this is pure narrative plus equity trade. If BTC runs, outperforms everything. If BTC stalls, micro strategy unwind violently. So, what's the most fundamentally supported? It's Nvidia, the most balanced palantir, narrative heavy, it's Tesla. So all four share one thing, they require the narrative to stay alive. But the difference is Nvidia can survive narrative cracks. Tesla is narrative and MSCR is narrative. So if we're ending real distribution, Nvidia stops reacting positively to good earnings, Tesla breaks on new news, and yes, right now, you're not early in the trade anymore. You're in the price imperfection phase, which means upside is so selective, downside is fast and unforgiving. So I think it's time for news now. Let's check it out. Oh wow, so big change in what's going to happen, okay? So today's forecast is 1 point minus 1.3 and it's going to come up now. Let's check it out. Crude oil inventory. Slightly bearish for, oh, yeah, it's bearish. We see oil kinda going down. So what did, oh, so the actual is 6.9. Okay. So it's going up now. It was bearish for oil. Oh, okay. So the last question of the day. If this persists, what breaks first? Equities, credit, or growth? That's a great question. So as you guys see here, we have oil consolidating at this level. Okay. So good question. This is actually how you should be thinking right now. Growth break first, then equities, then credit last. But let's walk through it properly. Wow. Growth track first. Why? Because it means high multiple names like for AI and second speculative like Tesla and Palantir. Even leaders like Nvidia stop outperforming. Why first? Because their price of future perfection. Small disappointment means bigger pricing. And this is the most fragile layer of the market. Signal it's happening, it's good news, which give us weak price reaction. Realize gets sold and momentum dies quietly. So once growth weakens, indexes lose leadership, breadth collapses further, and everything starts feeling heavy. Even if defensives hold for a bit, eventually, like S&P 500 and Nasdaq, they start trending down, but not just chopping. So why second? Because indexes are top heavy, so when either stall, the whole market follows. So right now we have growth that's starting to crack, equities that are fragile but holding, and credit that is still gone. So what could accelerate the chain? Given current backdrop, inflation reacceleration, like oil spikes, rate cuts, delayed, growth multiple compressed fast, and capex high, AI disappointment. It returns are clear, it hits them like Nvidia first. So we're likely in early stage growth on wind. So not yet full equilibrium and definitely not credit stressed. But if this persists, growth is already wobbling. Equities are next in line and credit is the one to watch for the confirmation. So what is the best reward right now? Risk reward right now? Long, short, or cash? That's an amazing question. Great question to end the day. Well, it's selective shorts, last partial cash. You basically got narrative still alive, internals weakening, and macro uncertainty rising, and that combo is choppy, trap heavy market. So this is where longs feel late, shorts feel early, and cash feels boring but powerful. You can still long, but only pullbacks and very selective names. The problem is upside is getting capped. You're buying into late stage narrative. Even strong names like Nvidia need perfection to go higher. And the risk reward is not great unless timed well. And short, this is where the edge is starting to appear. The best targets are narrative heavy names, weak reaction to good news, and broken momentum. So think like about Tesla, Palantir, and MicroStrategy. But here's the catch. Shorts don't work in a straight line yet. So what's the actual best pay? 40-60% cash, duality tactical shorts, and small selective longs only on dip. So you don't make money by being right. You make money by not being early. Well, I shift from defense to offense when I see the market getting comfortable. Okay, that's when I shift. When it's risky, people are cautious, but when they're comfortable, that's where they lose money. And that is the problem we're all facing right now. We're all getting too comfortable and then be like, oh, what a big problem we actually did. So, so let's see, let's check the latest news coming out today to end this live stream. This is what I was waiting for. Wall Street tempered some opening gains on Wednesday after Iran pushed back against the US ceasefire proposal to potentially end the war. Markets have swung from gains to losses this week as investors have traded conflict reports coming out of the Middle East. So the main averages on Wall Street all slipped in the prior session. Iran pushes back. The Wall Street Journal overnight said that Iran was setting a high bar in terms of demands for any ceasefire discussions, including wanting the closure of all American bases in the Gulf and the establishment of vehicle action from ships traversing the strait. The Fars news agency on Wednesday morning reported that Iran does not accept the ceasefire, and they added that Iran wanted the full end to the war, not just a ceasefire. Later, it said the country would not allow the US to dictate the timing of the end of the war, citing a senior political official. The state-owned agency said the official outlined 5 demands from Tehran's side, including an end to all attacks and international recognition and guarantees on Iran's right to exercise authority over the Strait of Hormuz. Oil prices pared some of their losses after the press TV updates. Brent crude futures expired on May were last down at 100. The contract remains well above levels of roughly 70 before the outbreak of the war, and traders have been fretting over the possible economic fallout from the prolonged war, a sentiment underlined by preliminary U.S. business activity data from March. S&P Global's flash Purchasing Managers Index fell to an 11th-month low and pointed to growing pressure on overall growth from rising prices linked to war-related energy shock. The impact may not be centralized in the US either, and separate PMIs for the Eurozone, one of ringing stagflation alarm bells, referring to an economic trend of stubborn inflation and stagnated growth. So as we see here, Oil is also following a big its consolidation here. Gold is going up and silver is holding. So I think we discussed everything we need to discuss today. It was a great session to have you guys. You have more like 4 minutes and then we will end the live stream. So let's see what's new in WSG. So California is having a great crisis of war. Prices are going up and that's a huge problem. There's a shortcut in oil in California and it has reported in Philippines, Asian countries, and also in um in a major oil country which is Australia. It was reported 3 times this time, and we are going to see what's going to happen next in the market. So these are the last news you're going to see. Pakistan has followed up with Iran after delivering the US proposal to de-escalate the war in the Gulf, and they're still waiting for a formal reply from Tehran. A Syria Pakistani security official said. A senior Iranian official confirmed earlier that Tehran had received the proposal passed on via Pakistan and said that talks, if they went ahead, could be held in either Pakistan or Turkey. The Iranians' official comments were among the rare signs that Tehran may consider the diplomatic proposals despite saying in public that no talks are underway and it will make no deals with the administration of Donald J. Trump. The Iranian source speaking on condition of anonymity did not disclose details of proposed passed or by Iran or say whether it was the same as a 15-point US framework previously reported by news outlets, including Reuters, and there was no response from Iran. Oil prices fell and shares regained some ground on Wednesday. So we can see what's going to happen next, but I don't think the ceasefire is coming. So we're waiting and we're going to see what's going to happen. Iranian military rules out deal with Trump as already offered to host talks attended by senior US officials as soon as this week. A senior ruling party official in Turkey told Reuters that Ankara is also playing a role passing messages between Iran and the US, but so far there has been no public recognition from Iran that it is willing to negotiate at all. And its assertions that it will not do so have become increasingly caustic. Has this level of your inner struggle reached a state of you negotiating with yourself? That's what a top spokesperson for Iran's joint military command taunted Trump in comments on Iranian state TV. So this basically means there's no way the war is going to end anytime soon. Pending any news, okay? So we have to wait and then we'll see what's going to happen in the market, guys. So thank you so much for your time watching this live stream. I really had fun in uh, doing this video with you guys, okay? So it's great to have you all here and it's great.